Karim Benzema and his dramatic recall, the reverberations are being felt before he's even kicked a ball at this tournament.
Jules Kounde is the one who I think everyone's going to be watching for France. He might not start, he might not get many minutes, but when he does, watch out for him because he's quite eye-catching.
Victoire. France are all about winning. They come in as reigning World Cup champions. I think all along, ever since that moment, they go into tournaments with one idea only. They're not just amongst the favourites, but they like to regard themselves as, potential podium up there holding the trophy. In a way, this squad potentially is even more advanced than the last time. Having said that, it's one hell of a group, so they've got to get out the group stage before they start thinking about winning. The obvious one probably is David Trezeguet with the golden goal. Anyone else who was lucky enough to be inside that stadium will recall how utterly bizarre it was. I've never experienced anything much quite like that, where you get a goal at the end of the game, and that is the goal on the final whistle are basically as one. It was very strange. But I'd also like to reflect on a tournament and a game that I think for historians of French football is up there with almost anything. In the 1984 Euros, which France held and hosted, they had a semi-final, an epic semi-final against Portugal, which was one of those turbulent matches that went this way and that. It was incredibly intense. It was in extra time, heading into its dying moments, when Jean Tigana went on this run, and he went on and on and on and got to the byline and cut it back, and there was Platini, the man of the day. He scored 9 goals that tournament, and just to put that in perspective, I think the next best was 3. If you want some intrigue, there's a few elements about this France squad, or in this France kind of aim, that are fascinating. Karim Benzema and his dramatic recall, the reverberations are being felt before he's even kicked a ball at this tournament, and watching that space will be incredible, whichever way it goes. But Didier Deschamps has the chance to make unique history in the game. No individual has ever won the World Cup and Euros double as a player and a manager, and he's on the brink of that possibility.
France's squad depth is arguably one of the strongest in the world. I mean, even outside of the Euro squad, the under-20 squad has so much talent in there that are just knocking on the door, waiting for that opportunity to break through. But Didier Deschamps has actually gone for it's been fairly risk-averse with his picks this year. In midfield, there's been a recall for Corentin Tolisso, who has started just 15 games in 3 seasons. But up front is where they have the most depth. I mean, Olivier Giroud, Karim Benzema, Antoine Griezmann, Kylian Mbappe, and Marcus Thuram, who's a bit of a wild card, son of Lillian, of course, and has had a really solid season for Borussia Mönchengladbach this year. So up front is where they're most stacked.
That's become a more fascinating question because of Benzema, because there feels like this unfinished business and this extraordinary question. But it's got to be Mbappe. I mean, he made himself man of the last World Cup, still in his teens, which was a quite remarkable achievement. And the way that I think he stole people's hearts and the style of play that he brought to that stage at that age is a moment for the ages. It's for all time. A few years down the line, he should be a more mature, more refined player than he was even at that last World Cup. So the qualities that he has individually in a great team, there will be expectation. Can he be the man again at this tournament?
It's Kylian Mbappe, and it couldn't really be anyone else, could it? I mean, he scored 41 goals in all competitions this season. He averages a goal a game, which is obviously a phenomenal rate for someone as young as he is. But, from the data, there's a lot of things that stick out. No striker in Europe gets on the ball in the box more than Mbappe does. He dribbles the ball past more opponents than everyone but Lionel Messi. He carries the ball upfield more than anyone but Lionel Messi as well. So a lot of attacking intent in his game. That's not even measuring or thinking about the speed of the guy, his acceleration, the way he can prolong his sprints. He's had a fantastic season. He's only going to get better, and excited to see him lead the line for France this year.
France's biggest weakness arguably isn't even on the pitch, it's maybe in their heads. It's not an easy thing to defend, going in as World Cup winners as they are, and that expectation, people are looking at them and saying, okay, when the squad announcement was made, right, well, that's it, sort of thing. There's your winners. That was something that Deschamps has previously discussed. He had experience of that himself as a player when France went from 98 to 2000. And finding that kind of inner winning mentality that can drive you past the points where you're not complacent, where you're so hungry still. I think that's probably the thing that France have to try and get right. There was maybe a bit of competition along the last year of who might be the guy or a couple of guys who can force their way in. Aouar or Camavinga at stages, people thought, this is the next big thing in French football. But it's Marcus Thuram who has won the trust of Deschamps. I'm not suggesting for a moment there's any kind of favouritism, because he was a great epic teammate of his father, Lilian Thuram, in grand famous days for France. He's a very exciting young forward who's had a good season in the Bundesliga and just brings maybe a little bit of freshness, a little bit of something new, because a lot of the people involved in the attacking group for France are quite established by now.
Jules Kounde is the one who I think everyone's going to be watching for France. Now, he might not start, he might not get many minutes, but when he does, watch out for him, because he's quite eye-catching. There's a few things about his game for a centre-back which are quite different. And he's 5'10" for a start, so he's not the most physically imposing. Loves to carry it out of the back, loves to apply pressure to opposition attackers and kind of get up in their faces. And when he does that, there's no other defender in Europe who's actually better at forcing turnovers really than he does. So yeah, really, really good player. You'll see him, if he gets time on the field, he roams all around the defence. His heat maps always look a bit funky for a centre-back. So yeah, one to definitely keep an eye on both in this tournament and in years coming forward.
Hello, I'm David Ornstein, and I'm here to tell you what The Athletic has planned across its podcast network during the Euros. You can catch me alongside Mark Chapman and a range of other Athletic writers on The England Show throughout the tournament, bringing you the very latest news and insight from the England camp every single day. Prior to the big kickoff, we're releasing an 8-part documentary series telling the stories of the past 8 tournaments, starting with the sounds and smells of Euro 88 and finishing in 2016. There'll also be nightly episodes of the Totally Football Show, 9 zonal marking podcasts from Michael Cox's tactics and analytics team, and Adam Hurrey's Football Clichés will take a look at the competition's alternative storylines. So, with what felt like a never-ending domestic season finally behind us, we've got all of your Euro 2020 needs covered. Check out every show for free wherever you get your podcasts.